are doing fantastically well today. Have you ever been in a situation where you wanted to avoid making mistakes in your career? I'm going to share with you the number one, yes, I said number one mistake that you should avoid making in your career. This mistake, ladies, will cause you unnecessary stress, frustration, lack of career growth, and all kinds of negative things in your career if you do it. And this particular mistake is it's an easy one that people tend to do. And I want to share with you what I've learned over the past 20 years as a C-suite executive, a manager, and a director, and as an executive coach to prevent you from making a mistake that I have made in the past. Now, I want to let you know you want to watch this video to the very end because I'm going to share with you some tips that can help you recover when you make this mistake so that you don't necessarily have to do it again. This mistake that oftentimes people make in their career is the following. We tend to not appreciate our boundaries. What happens a lot of times as professionals in a business setting or perhaps in our careers or if we're working for an organization is that there's always these times that tend to come up where we are asked to do something that crosses a boundary that we have. Now, if you are looking to establish your boundaries and be able to define them a bit better, I'm not going to talk about that in this particular video. However, I do have a 3-part YouTube video series that talks specifically about how to develop your boundaries. So I will link that in the description below. You'll definitely want to check that out to get the insight there. However, there's always these situations that come up. You may be asked to stay later one day, or you may be asked to come in on your off day to do something, or you may be asked to have a conversation that is a bit maybe something that you're not comfortable doing or you don't really want to do. And so when you do those type of things, it will start to take away your boundaries. Boundaries are something that are very important for you to have as a professional. It will secure you. It will prevent you from being stressed out. It will help you to grow in your career. It'll help you to accelerate and do a lot of amazing things. But if you are not able to keep your boundaries, people will walk all over you. They will take advantage of you, and they will make sure that one time where you decide to give up on your boundary, they're going to keep that in their head, and they're going to continue to take advantage of you. And if you are following my channel or you are subscribed to my channel, and if you're not subscribed, you might want to subscribe today because I'm giving you some really good information. But if not subscribed to my channel, or if you have subscribed, you definitely know that I do not want you to be in a situation like that. So being able to do that is very, very helpful. So I want to say hello to everyone that's joined. Hello. Hope you all are doing well today, and I appreciate you being here. I am talking about the number one mistake that people make in their careers as they are trying to transition. And I just talked about it, so I'm going into it a bit more. So if you have any questions about maybe some challenges you're facing in your careers right now, then put them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them for you and give you some insight, some 20 years worth of expert level insight to help you be able to avoid this mistake. So the mistake is not appreciating your boundaries. And so oftentimes, when you have those situations that come up where people are talking to you and they want you to do something extra, sometimes most of us are genuinely good people and we really want to try to help. But I'm going to tell you, I want you to think about it a little bit differently. When you're having to say yes to someone else, what are you saying no to yourself? I want you to think about that, because a lot of times people do not consider that when they are causing the lines of their boundaries to be blurred to the point where someone else is controlling their schedule. So let me give you an example. I previously was working at an organization where I started to give a lot of my time and make my boundaries a bit blurred to the point where people felt like they could ask me to do things after hours or spend time away from my family, to attend events, and etc. So I want to share with you that it made my life stressful. It made it very, 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 very stressful because in my mind, I always felt that, oh, well, I already said I was going to do it. I need to do it, even though I plan on working on something else. And so I share this with you because this is what happens sometimes when you make those boundaries blurred. Initially, things will be fine. You'll feel good. You'll feel like, yes, I helped this person. I helped them out. I did what I was supposed to do. But then after a while, when it keeps coming up and coming up and coming up, then you start to notice it's wearing on you. And you're wondering, why am I so frustrated in my job? Why am I so frustrated in my career? Why is my career not going where I want it to be? Well, a lot of it has to do with your boundaries. Because if you don't have your boundaries set, you're not able to make room for the things in your life that are really important. And oftentimes, people that are asking you to do things outside of your normal working hours, or maybe outside of what you feel is appropriate for your boundaries, are people that have problems with their boundaries too, and they just don't recognize it. They think that it's okay to ask someone to do something along those lines. So in my scenario, as I shared with you, I did this for many years, and it finally got to a point where I had to stop. And the reason why I had to stop is because I felt like my family was not able to get as much of my time as I wanted them to have. At that particular point, I had just started working on developing my business at Excite Excellence Incorporated, being the CEO there. And I needed to be able to spend more time with my family, with my business, with you all here on YouTube and on my other social media platforms. And I could not do those things again. So at the very beginning of the video, I mentioned to you that if you've made this mistake, because we've all made this mistake, there are things you can do to start to bring it back, bring back your boundaries and scale back and make sure you're at a place where you can reestablish those boundaries if they have been lost. So before I go into what you can do, I want to know from you, if you're watching the replay or if you are tuning in right now live, I appreciate you for being here. What are some challenges that you have faced as it relates to developing your boundaries as a woman in leadership? Let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to hearing some of your feedback. So this is what I did. When I had that situation come up where I made my boundaries a bit more blurred and I did not take care of myself or put the time where I needed it to go for me, I started to become unavailable. Yes, unavailable. Now, initially, anytime you're making a transition, whether you are elevating your communication skills or you're developing your executive presence or you are becoming more confident, there's always this period of time where it's this transition period, I would say, where perhaps people are seeing you and they're seeing you in a different light and they don't know what to make out of it. They just know you're acting differently. And so people may respond to you differently. They may become a bit frustrated with you and upset because you're not acting the way that they once thought that you were supposed to act. So what I did in my scenario is I became unavailable. I suddenly had things to do. I had to take care of this particular project, or I had something going on with my family. I had any other thing I needed to do to protect my time, because people will take advantage of your time, and time is absolutely the most precious commodity that you can have in your life. So you want to be very careful of your time and very careful of individuals who are going to try to blur your boundaries or take advantage of your boundaries, which will result in you losing your time. And your time is something that you can never get back. And you want to keep that in mind if you are struggling with this and you're not quite sure what to do in terms of your boundaries. Think about it that way. Your time, you will never get that back. So when you feel like your boundaries are being tested, someone is trying to take advantage of them, remember that, and then you'll start to quickly, hopefully, recognize that this is not the way you want to go. So yes, so in my case, I became unavailable and I had a lot of other things going on. I couldn't make it here. I couldn't make it there. I would try to send someone else to go to the meetings in my place if they were able to go. And if they weren't, I just wasn't available to go. And that's what I did. That initial transition period, I will tell you, ladies, it wasn't pretty. It was not pretty at all. The reason being is because people got upset. They got upset. They didn't understand, why was I not available? Why am I not being there? Why am I not being a team player after hours in terms of going to different events and etc. And honestly, I had to just let it go and not care, because I knew that I had a bigger purpose and a bigger calling that I was trying to do in my life, and that I had to regain control of my boundaries because I had caused them to be blurred. So this is something that I would recommend for you to do, is to regain your boundaries back by starting to become a bit unavailable. There's other things that you can be doing with your time. Does your business associate, boss, coworker, and etc., do they need to know specifically what you are going to be doing? They don't. Sometimes when you are trying to regain control of your boundaries and you've already been in a situation where you've given a lot of your time, you've made your boundaries a bit blurred, and you've consistently done more than what you needed to, or you had to put yourself in a situation where you weren't able to focus on yourself, you had to take care of something else that took away from your personal time, then I would say that this is something that you definitely are going to experience. You're going to experience people being upset. You're going to experience people being upset with you and being mad because they don't know why you're acting that way. So I want to know from you, has this ever happened to you before? Have you ever had a situation come up, and let's say you weren't able to attend something specifically because you needed to work on something else, and let's say someone was upset? I want to know from you, because it happened to me, and there is this misconception that people have, and I've even had a comment on my YouTube channel about this, in a specific video that I have on my channel that talks about how to say no at work. I actually had someone mention to me privately how they didn't quite understand why I said it that way, or why sometimes it's important for you to say no at work. And you have to say that sometimes, because sometimes what will happen is you'll be in a situation where you are just stuck, and you're not able to really grow and develop the way that you want to. And you'll be in a situation where it becomes very, very difficult for you to be able to move forward, because you're tying up your time doing so many things. I'll tell you that you work for companies. We all work for companies, or you may work for an associate or etc. But I'll share with you, these companies don't own you. Okay, these companies do not own you. Your businesses do not own you. And there's this cultural norm, I would say, that people seem to think businesses own you, and that you have to do every single thing that you have to do in order to maintain your job. There's always a balance there. And I want to make sure that this is something that people understand. You don't need to be owned. I mean, basically. And I got a nasty comment on my YouTube channel specifically about that, because this person said, well, if you're working for a job, you can't tell them no. And I'm thinking, yes, I can. That's why I'm telling you the video, to tell them no. But nonetheless, so Inner Bliss said, my family is so controlling verbally, what I should do now. They stop me from everything. Well, this is something, and my baby's crying. Hey, baby. This is something that I would definitely just encourage you to really think about your life, and think about the big picture in terms of what it is that you want to do with your life, and how it is that you want to move forward with your particular career. Because ultimately, as I was mentioning at the very beginning, life is we have a time limit, right? And the time that we end up not using to really benefit ourselves, or perhaps we're at a place where we're dealing with family that's being very controlling and not letting you do what you need to do, is a time where you could be doing something else. So I know it's challenging. I appreciate you so much for sharing that. And I am really, really, really excited for you, because at least you acknowledge that this is something that is a challenge for you. But if you want to talk offline and talk a bit more about it, then let me know. Just email me at info@exciteexcellence.com. It is .org. I'm sorry. It is actually on my email. It's on my page for here on YouTube. And I'd be happy to talk to you a bit more about it. But just hang in there and try to find your way out. I would say try to find your way out that's going to be able to help you be able to find another path, so you can get out of that controlling feeling that you have right now with your family. So I appreciate you sharing that. And if you have anything else, just feel free to let me know. All right, so we have someone that's working in a third year for in development. Well, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here today. So if you're just joining, sorry, my baby just woke up from a nap and she's ready to probably get a snack. But what I want to share with you all is that the number one mistake that people make in their careers is to not appreciate their boundaries, because I am so confident that people make this mistake all the time. I've made this mistake, and it makes it really, really, really very challenging for you to be able to do anything else in your career, because they're not really appreciating your actual boundaries. So don't make this mistake. I made this mistake and I had to recover from it. In the recovery period, with anything else that you're trying to do in terms of breaking a habit, it's hard. It's very, very hard. It's difficult to do. So I want to be able to make sure that you don't make this mistake in your career, because this mistake will actually slow you down in your career, prevent you from earning income, and really challenge you quite a bit. Okay, so there's another question. I don't know your name. It's in a different language. So I apologize for not knowing that. So the question is, I will very soon join a company for a job. Can you tell me what I should ask for in an interview? Okay. All right. Well, if you got a few minutes, of course I will help you with that. So you're doing front end development right now, and so you are getting ready to interview with a job. Okay. So if you're asking for questions that you should answer in your interview, one of the questions I always like to tell my clients to ask is to find out as much as you can about your role that you currently have. So for instance, okay, hold on. Okay, there's a follow-up question. Should I ask for salary? And there is PF, and what else is there? PF, can you explain to me what PF is? And I'll be able to answer it. But while you're doing that, I typically tell my clients to make sure that they are being able to ask questions that are relevant to the specific job itself. So what normally can happen a lot of times is that we come to an interview and we just don't know what questions to ask. Like we just say, oh, okay, I'm not quite sure what I want to ask. And oftentimes that can make it a bit more challenging. But what I would encourage you to do is to ask questions specifically related to the actual job description. So what can happen is you can say, where does the company see itself in 5 years? What are some of the challenges that are expected for this particular position? What would I need to do to be successful in this position, and et cetera, and et cetera. Okay, so EPF is Employees Provident Fund. Okay, so I would say ask questions that are related to that. And for salary, you'll have to see how the conversation goes. If you have your interview and they bring up salary, the one thing I tell people to do to not box yourself in. So what I don't want you to do as it relates to your salary is box yourself in. What I mean specifically is that when you are trying to negotiate or talk about salary as it relates to your particular role that you're applying for, sometimes people will just go with what they say, and they'll go with the range that's there. And so what I encourage you to do, oh, I'm sorry, honey. What I encourage you to do is to make sure that, I may have to get off here and then come right back. But what I encourage you to do is to say, what type of salary range do you offer for somebody with my level of expertise? So when I say expertise, I want to set you up already as an expert in your field so that people can see you as that expert in that particular field. So what I can do for you, if you want to talk to me offline and talk a little bit more about this specific scenario as it relates to your interview, just email me at info@excellentexcellence.org. I see that you are probably you may be in another country possibly. I do have WhatsApp, so I'd be happy to talk to you a bit more about your situation and just kind of help you on your journey as it relates to that. But I hope that you all received some help. Sorry, my baby just woke up and she was sleeping, of course, and I was trying to get my video in before she woke up. But nonetheless, I hope this helps you. Don't make this mistake when you are trying to be in your career, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.